පත භූමියේ ඉදිරි සියලු කටයුතු on the flags and sharp එරඩි ඔලිබරපු ජනප්‍රියතම ක්‍රීඩාවට
a single point
Zambia what it out of the team for domination වයිලා මොකද දන්නවද කියලා FA Cup champions
Hello and welcome to Around the Wickets. You're once again on ThePapare.com. As you know, ThePapare.com, we take time off to discuss important and interesting events that happens on the field of cricket. And today, it's no different. Farveez Maharoof, as usual, joins me. Welcome.
Morning.
And to try and discuss how the Sri Lankan team would move forward, particularly after their four-day provincial, super provincial tournament and the impending West Indies tour. So let's start off with the West Indies tour of, or at least Sri Lanka's tour of West Indies, if I may rephrase myself. And before I get into the nitty-gritties and the teams and all that, what do you think? Do you think Sri Lanka in with a good chance of winning this series, particularly in view of where the teams are?
I think so. I definitely think that we got the right squad, apart from one or two players who are out injured. I thought, I think we have a very strong squad to start with, and it will be a big dilemma, who's going to play, who's not. So, for the moment, I think we go as favourites for this tour.
Now, I'm not going to discuss the squad to start with. Now, you've been to the West Indies. You've played in these venues. I believe they're playing at Trinidad and Tobago. Then they're playing at the Darren Sammy Stadium, and then they finally end up at Barbados, where you play the day-night game with the pink ball. Now, do you think Sri Lanka should go with the strategy of 6-5? That is 6 batsmen, 5. Now, why I'm asking him is because Sri Lanka continued to use that combination and they won games. You think they need to go with that combination, or they might slightly tamper with it?
I believe it all depends on the conditions what they're going to get. Especially
yeah, I'm assuming you know the Trinidad conditions.
Trinidad conditions generally it's a slow wicket, but I don't think that they will give us wickets which will turn. With Rangan Herathan, Akil Dhananjay, Dilruwan Perera is in the. They've been doing very well in the past, especially in Asian conditions. But I expect them to leave a little bit of grass. Right. So I think we might go with 3 seamers and. If it's 7-4, I think 3 spinners, 3 fast bowlers and a spinner and 7 batters. But if they think that we need to have 5 bowlers to take 20 wickets, I think 3 seamers and 2 spinners. But coming back to your question, I think for me it's going to be 6-5 with Dilruwan Perera as an all-rounder.
Right. Now that's what brings me to a very interesting question. Now, in case you haven't really heard about the Sri Lankan squad, I'm sure you've seen the names, but we'll try and bring you up to date with the ins and outs. Angelo Matthews, Kusal Perera, Mahela Udavatta coming back as an opener. Now, that's interesting, but I think we've discussed this name, incidentally, on many a program. I remember Mahela Udavatta, Lahiru Thirimana and Ashan Priyanjan were 3 names we discussed. And what Maha said was that they need to just keep scoring runs. They thought Thirimana was closer, but Mahela Udavatta just needs to score runs. And well, he's got an opening. Dimuth Karunaratne's got an injury, so well done to him. Good luck. Jeffrey van der Seyck, Kasun Rajitha, and Asitha Fernando, a very exciting young fast bowler. Now, Dimuth Karunaratne injured, finger injury. Dushmantha Chameera again seemed to be quite susceptible injury. Danushka Gunathilaka Lakshan Sanakaran left out. I'm not going to discuss the merits and the demerits of selection, because a selector's job is never an easy one. But my question to you is, if you were saying 6-5, now that's what I wanted to know from you. Who will be your 6th batsman? Now, you got the squad yourself. Now, I'm extending my question because Roshan Silva played because Angelo Matthews wasn't there. Now, if you're going to play Dilruwan as the all-rounder, tough call. Imagine you were the chairman of selectors having to make that call. What will be your 6?
For me, as soon as the new regime came, the coaching staff and the new management in the new selection committee, what they had was a selection process. So I don't think Mahela Udavatta will straight away walk into the 11.
You don't think he will play as a
He won't. So
right.
I believe the top 3 would be Kusal Mendis, Janith, and Dhananjay Silva. Though either can open one of them at the number 3, and I'll have Angie at 4, Dinesh at 5, and Roshan at 6. Because Roshan has been very consistent. You can't leave a player in that caliber.
He batted at 5, so you think he'll be ready?
I think he'll be relegated at 1 because Dinesh prefers to bat at 5, so he'll go 1 down to number 6. And bad luck to Roshan because the 6 batters he can't find a team. But I don't believe I don't think that Maharoof will straight walk into the team because there's this process going on, and I think the talk is that Kusal Jan is going to open with Kusal Mendis.
Yeah, that was what I was also thinking. Honestly, that was what I was also thinking. I was just thinking Maharoof as a cover. But is it fair to leave out Roshan Dikwella? Why can't he open? Played with him. You played with him. You know his credentials as an opener. And he's someone who's established and seems to be quite settled as a wicketkeeper in the red ball game. So, what about him opening with Kusal Mendis and Kusal Perera not playing? What do you think?
It's a tough call again. I mean, leaving out him from the playing 11. But as I said before, I think Roshan Silva deserves more than Roshan.
Yes.
Bat at 6. So it's a tough call. But Roshan has opened the batting with the white ball cricket for Sri Lanka, but not for red ball cricket, and I don't think they'll straight away take that gamble. But whereas Kusal Janit has opened before in the test matches, so I think tough call. But definitely Dikwella is very unlucky to be left out, but it's just how it is. It's very competitive.
Yeah, for a change, Sri Lanka is having a positive headache. In the past it used to be like where to pick the players and whom to come in. Now it's a question of whom to leave out. It's a good headache to have.
Absolutely.
Now, talking about leaving out, one guy that I feel is missing something somewhere is Lakshan Sandakan. What is your opinion about he not being picked? I'm delighted for Jeffrey Van Der Sey. Initially thought of as a white ball cricketer, but what about Lakshan Sandakan, that X factor, that surprise factor? What do you think?
I mean, though Lakshan Sandakan, missed out, I thought Jeffrey Van Der Sey has been knocking the door for a while now. I mean, he had a brilliant 4-day tournament, latter part of the club tournament. So I think he's been performing well. Again, Lakshan Sandakan bit unlucky, but again, a positive headache to have. I mean, it's either Lakshan Sandakan or Jeffrey Van Der Sey, two wrist spinners along with Akira Dhananjaya. So I think, having 4 spinners in a squad, Lakshan, being a standby, positive headache for me again.
Yeah. Can I be a little bit technical on Lakshan Sandakan? Something that we've been watching and understanding. I'm sure you would have seen this also. There is this school of thought. I certainly feel that Lakshan Sandakan is a little bit too slow through the air. And as a result of it, on pitches that are really not helping him, even good length balls are played off the back foot. The batsmen tend to play the cut shot. Do you think that's an area he needs to work on? Or is it just me that thinks that he's a little bit too slow?
For me, it's more than the pace, it's consistency. I mean, what the general thought about him in the first class arena is that, he gives away too much of loose delivery. Though, I mean, it's true that he takes wickets, but when he's not having a good day, he seems to go for a lot of runs. But he needs to work on his consistency definitely, because if you got 3 spinners in Akira Dhananjaya, Dilruwan and Ranganera, who's very, very economical. They don't give easy runs. Whereas Lakshan Sandakan in the past, he has gone for runs and he's lacking consistency. For me, it's more than the pace in the air or off the pitch. His consistency is what he has to work on.
Right. So just to bring you up to date with the fixtures of Sri Lanka's tour now, I know that the timings are quite terrible. It's actually the night that these games happen simply because of the time difference. Sri Lanka plays a practice game on the 30th of May up to 1st of June. That's at the Brian Lara Stadium in Trinidad and Tobago. And then they go straight into the test match on the 6th of June at Port of Spain in Trinidad, 6th to the 10th. And then they play at the Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium in St. Lucia, the second test match, 14th to the 18th. And they conclude the tour with a day-night pink ball game starting on the 23rd of June up to the 27th at the Kensington Oval. Now, just to remind you, there aren't any one-day games or T20 games. This is all about test cricket. So it's going to be very interesting. Sri Lanka taking on the West Indies. As we know, the West Indies aren't doing too well, and the Sri Lankans seem to be gelling quite well with their test team and generally in their cricket with the changes.
Sri Lanka rugby පිටියේ සතිපතා සිද්ධ වෙන දේවල් දැනගන්න කැමතිද?
රග්බි පිටිය සෑම අඟහරුවාදා දිනකම ඔබ වෙත.
Now, let's try and focus on the domestic scene and what's been going around, happening particularly in the Inter-Provincial. We've just finished a 4-day Inter-Provincial and we're now getting into the limited overs leg. Have you been impressed with the way the limited overs leg has been played in view of some of the players not being available, injured, been taken out for a camp in Kandy before the test matches? What is your general view about the limited over tournament?
I think overall, I mean, taking away the 17 players for a camp, I mean, I think that was a very good thing organized by the committee. But as far as the competitiveness of the tournament, I thought it can be much better. On some of the games I've been watching, some of the performance. It's not for me, when you're having 4 first-class teams. It's quite sad to see the competitiveness is a bit lacking in some of the games, not every game, some of the games. But overall, I think timing of the tournament can be questioned as well, because if we're knowing that we're going for a red ball tournament and playing one days and taking away 17 best cricketers to a camp, that puts down the quality of the cricket when it comes to provincial cricket.
Yeah, that's a bit of a issue that the Sri Lanka cricket have faced. That's one of the negatives if one was to dwell a little bit more. But just to give you the points table, Galle is on top. They won 4 games out of 5. They've got 17 points. Colombo in second place. Dambulla and Kandy quite a way down. Dambulla in fact 10 points, but Kandy nowhere close, just 4 points. Now, some of the leading run scorers in this tournament have been Shehan Jayasuriya of Colombo. He's averaging 55 with a strike rate of 107. Upul Taranga, well, 272 runs. Shehan Jayasuriya 275 at strike rate of 112, 54.40. Lahiru Tirimana, now that's an interesting name because he's averaging 135 and his strike rate, now generally considered as a batsman who's a little bit slow, takes his time. Now that's 111 his strike rate. Ashan Priyanjan 206 runs and Samu Ashan of Galle 204 runs. What are your views? Particularly, we've discussed this name, Lahiru Tirimana. Upul Taranga already there, doesn't need any doesn't need to be spoken of. Shehan Jayasuriya, another exciting young cricketer who can add a lot to the Sri Lankan cause. So, Samu Ashan, young cricketer emerging. So, what are your views about these guys?
Out of 5, out of 5, 4 players are tried and tested. They've been consistently performing in the domestic level for a longer time. I thought Shehan Jayasuriya was even unlucky not to make the Nidas Trophy for me in that squad. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, top 4 scorers has been the people who are very consistent in the last few years. I mean, as you said, Shehan Jayasuriya, Upul Taranga and Tirimana. I mean, Tirimana for me, he has a bit of a reputation being too slow in one day. Whereas if you take the strike rate of 111, so
that's a bit of a surprise to me.
It's something that he has developed because he has understood that he has to develop in that part of the game. So he has developed. So just I think his selection for red ball or white ball is just around the corner. I mean, it's 2 quality player to leave out. But very happy for Samu Ashan. I played against him a few times. I mean, seems to be a guy for his age very mature. So I think I'm not that surprised that he's in the top 5 in this provincial tournament.
Right, let's look at the bowlers now. Malinda Pushpakumara, ageless, if that's the right word. Real warhorse, has been on and on and on. I wonder how long those shoulders will hold because he's bowled a lot of overs. Even in the 1 days, he's got 12 wickets in 4 games. Such a wonderful domestic cricketer. Dasun Shanaka, now I'm quite impressed with Dasun Shanaka's bowling. He's got 9 wickets. He's known more as a batsman who can hit the ball and doesn't really bring in too much of penetration, but this is really a good sign. Sachit Patirana, 9 wickets. Isuru Udana, Lakshan Sadakan also figuring. Now, you were quite candid about the views of the 5 batsmen. What are your thoughts about the 5 bowlers and how do you see these guys moving forward or progressing?
I think Malinda Pushpakumara for the last 6, 7, probably 8 years, he's been consistent in whatever cricket he's been playing. It's just unlucky that he's not been recognised.
It just goes on.
That much just goes on. I mean, every time he roll arm over, it just seems to be wicket somehow. I mean, speaking about Dasun Shanaka, I thought he's pretty unlucky not to make the Test squad. Preferably, I would like to have an all-rounder.
Do you really think that Dasun Shanaka has the penetration to get into the Test squad as a bowler?
I mean, it's not straight away to the 11. If you're playing 5 bowlers, probably we could make him as an all-rounder, one of the options. But for me, he is a must in the Test squad. I mean, he's been performing really well.
That's high praise. For me, that's high praise.
I mean, he's also looking at the Test cricket where the all-rounders now. Angelo Matthews doesn't bowl. ThePapare doesn't play Test cricket. So he's the only all-rounder, batting all-rounder, bowling all who bowls with seam up. He's the only one available for the moment. So
what about Farveez Maharoof?
Leave my case for the moment.
Have you what? No. I like to digress. Have you given up or what?
I mean, still playing first class.
So you should. Don't you think you should be making a genuine effort to come back? You will easily identify that the all-rounders. We got a dearth of all-rounders. So time for you to put your hand up. Who knows? Next captain of Sri Lanka. Am I speaking a little bit too loud? or too early?
Pretty much too loud, but bit too late, I guess. I think
never late. Age is only a number.
It's just that my body, I mean, it's just not right to play Test cricket at all.
Sorry, I didn't want to embarrass you, but I was just asking you. Right.
And also speaking about Isrudan, I mean, it's consistent again. You know, taking 9 wickets. Lakshan Sandakan, unlucky not to make that Test squad, but he's been knocking on the door. I mean, it's good signs for Sri Lankan cricket having so much positive headaches.
True, that's good. That's really good. This is the type of competition that Sri Lanka needs, even at domestic level. After a good club competition, to have a good provincial tournament is just the way to go. Just to remind you, few fixtures still remaining. 17th of May, 2 games coming up. Colombo versus Galle at the R. Premadasa Stadium, and Kandy versus Dambul at the Sara Oval. Now you need to come and watch these games in case you've got time. And I also believe ThePapare is live streaming. There is some live television, so you might be able to catch the action. And on the 20th, it's a day-night game. Galle has qualified. We still don't know who their opponent will be. That will be at the R. Premadasa Stadium. A day-night game, the final of the inter-provincial 50-over tournament. So, as I said, Galle is out there. Kandy seem to be struggling, but generally, 4 teams, good competition, and hopefully the way to go. So that's it on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com. We hope you enjoyed it, and certainly we were trying to get into Farveez Maharoof's mind and thinking about the West Indies tour in view of the challenge the selectors have. Whom would they drop and whom would they go with? What would be the combination? Those are the questions we will have to find out when the first test unfolds. I'm sure we'll come back before that. Until we see you again, it's goodbye.